Oh, hello. Welcome to Coppola, the only podcast that can claim, rightfully so, that it's the only one. This is a stupid little podcast that we record every week. A couple of artsy boys from down under, ready to tear your mind asunder. We never blunder.
Get ready for the thunder.
What's our tagline? We have a tagline. I think unprepared is in there, which is suitable for this opening.
Underdeveloped and unrefined.
Something like that. Maybe that's a bit. Maybe we forget our tagline every single time, which plays into the tagline itself. Pretty funny.
Also, don't worry about laughing, because we'll tell you when to laugh.
When you hear this, you know we made a joke. So we're on Spotify. That's the news for all you boys and girls out there who want to listen to a podcast everywhere you go, who want to stick it in your Walkman and take it walking about around town. Now you can do so with Spotify. Welcome to... I don't need to introduce you to the concept of Spotify. You know how it works. What is new, though, is that we're on it.
Yeah, it's pretty damn exciting.
So expect a big announcement from Spotify as well, as they're probably equally as excited as we are. But anyway, in order to celebrate, we've come here to Venus, the planet Venus,
Yeah.
everyone's favorite destination.
We're picking out a special dog,
A special space dog.
Coprolalia dog.
We need a mongrel of our very own to hang out with us and have a good time and yep. So we're here at the Dog Pound.
And it might be a talking dog that talks on very special occasions.
I hope so. I have very high expectations, and I have a bar that must be met, and talking dog is one of them. Is part of that. Is that bar? What? I'm not wording my words. I'm not using my words very well today. Giles, how are you? Yeah. Hang on. I'm Wrath. Where Reverend Giles is Giles, and give us money on Patreon. There, that's how you do podcast intros. Giles, how are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
I think I've said on this podcast before that when I've released a piece of art,
Yep.
I sort of bathe in the glow of the serotonin or endorphins or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever hits you.
It's tough when you don't get there though. It's like like if I'm trying to do something and I just can't get anything together, like that day is just ruined. I get in the mood like I need to make something today. I need to create something, and then if I don't get anything I'm happy enough with, bad day. It's not a fun time.
You're right.
But then I don't know. It feels so stupid. I struggle to take even myself as an artist seriously, and because everyone loves that struggling artist image in their head. They love artists to be romantic and dramatic, and they get sad when they can't paint a pretty picture. It's so hard to be an artist, but it is. It's frustrating. It's certainly frustrating. Once you get yourself into that mindset where you have to do something, where you have to be creating, if you can't do it, it just fucks with your head. But you have to push yourself to be into that mindset. What, making stuff?
I'm just generally pretty bad at it, you know. I mean when I'm not I'm not a hard worker. This could be because of many reasons, but I'm sure if I actually worked every single day at painting or drawing, my output would be far bigger than what it currently is.
I think that's just maths.
Yes.
But it can't possibly be less.
So
if you
I've
work every day.
definitely gone for the compromise of just few, but
quality.
I guess so, but I don't want to suggest that the stuff that you do isn't quality though,
Do it.
because it is.
Go on.
And it requires you to work consistently at it.
There's just different ways of working. Surely, you're
Different work ethics.
For me, you've always appeared like the romantic idea of an artist. The artist
Right.
that's. I don't want to say torture. I don't want to throw torture around
I'm
this
fairly tortured, though.
willy-nilly, because I don't want to suggest that that's how I see you as just tortured. I see you as a multi-dimensional character full of twists and turns and angles and faces and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Depth. Damage is an angle though.
Yeah, no, so I would consider myself tortured, and I also do go for the romantic idea of artist. So
When inspiration hits you, it takes you, whisks you on a journey.
yeah, and to the point where I've actually made some really good things that the inspiration hasn't returned, so I've just dropped them.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably not a good ethic at all for like
Maybe.
for being for at least social media, the days of social media, it's not a good work ethic.
Yeah. Well, then you have to. Yeah, I think that's you decide then if you want to be a working artist or an artiste.
Artiste.
I've definitely like captured inspiration, boxed it up, kept it in my cellar, and I just whip it into submission until it does what I need it to do. While you let yours run free and it can come home whenever it wants.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, and
Actually,
you have a lovely dinner.
weird.
But me, I don't even speak to mine.
Basically, I don't do art if it's making me feel bad. Is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So you were describing the feeling of having to trying to push through something, and if it not working, it feels like wasted time or frustration.
I'm also
basically, I don't do it unless it feels good.
Yeah, I'm also drastically dramatizing
Masochistic.
and exaggerating my situation with creativity and inspiration. I'm not
Fair
that
enough, fair
not that much of a masochist or that cynical. But I definitely push myself when I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, right.
But that's also for other reasons. I don't know. Well, as I said, I don't know. I do feel
You want
weird.
to be the best.
I do feel no, I definitely not. I like to be good at stuff, but I definitely don't. I don't have the mentality of like work on one thing until I'm the best at it. That's closer to maybe my brother, but even he doesn't work at it like others do. People who just spend 12 hours every day playing the keyboard until they're the best goddamn keyboard player or pianist on the planet. Can't do it. I don't have the patience for it.
There was a period of time when I was just taking a lot of time off school to be depressed.
Yeah.
And I would tinker on the guitar pretty much all day because video games weren't fun, and I couldn't find any meaning in watching TV or anything. So I would just listen to Jimi Hendrix songs and then play along for like hours. They all rolled away. The hours just rolled away, and then suddenly I was like, "Fuck! I can sort of keep up with this shit."
Well, that's a sad. I guess it's a depressing way to get into it, but it's a good escape from depression. Not an escape, more like a way of coping with it rather than actually.
It's a raft on an endless ocean.
We've got the poetic symbolism on point today.
I reckon we both write enough poetry to have some grasp of it.
I would probably the thing I'm probably best at is poetry, though I just don't really publish any of it.
Me neither.
It comes out in music, and lately the raps. The rap attack is coming.
The wrath attack.
I was debating whether to maybe this deserves some sort of setup for a story. I don't know. For listeners who don't know, but yeah, my name is Wrath. It's spelled Rhath, which is like a combination of my name, and I just had it for ages because it looks cool on paper. But then at the same time, when I say it, I'm like, ugh, the grapes of wrath. Like, ugh, God's wrath. That sounds very dark and ominous and not really in line with my personality or content.
Wrath is actually anger.
Yeah, I'm a frustrated boy. I blew my top, so to speak. People get out of my way as I storm down the street in a huff. Actually,
Nice.
I was chatting to my mother the other day, last night, not too long ago.
Did
just
you get
now.
mad at her?
She's right here with me, and she. What did she say? What were we talking about? No, I've lost it. Not a good story anyway.
You're talking with your mum, you got really mad and you hit her and you just
No.
you feel really bad about that.
I would if I did it, but I didn't. I love my mum. This is
Glad to hear. I'm glad
this
to hear
is
you didn't
this
hit
is
your mum.
chaotic content. We haven't. Let's get back to it.
Let's get back to it. Hey, this is a really sweet looking dog.
Yeah, this is quite a nice one. I like it. It's
I
got
like its bark.
it's a
Just
nice,
sounds like an audio recording.
yeah, it's got a nice repetition to it. None of this
Yeah.
chaotic up and down, and it did a little whimper, and it can do a loud bark.
Speak, boy. Yeah. No, shut up now. I was not expecting that.
Now that we have some peace and fucking quiet, here's something I've been thinking about recently. All right, let's dive on into some actual bloody discussion and content. Let's actually have a look. How long have we been talking? 12 minutes. 12 minutes of nothing. That's not true. We talked about some. We talked about being artists, but who gives a shit about artists?
Yeah.
We're living the dream, isn't? Okay, that's actually that's the one thing that pisses me off though, is like when people complain about YouTubers. Oh, this ties into our YouTube conversation that we're gonna have. Hey, everything connects. When people complain about YouTubers, going like, oh, what, you taking a break or what? What, you're not giving me my content when I expect it, motherfucker? What, you're living a dream job? Put in the fucking time and effort for me, the audience. Like, it's a slog doing this kind of, not what we're doing. This podcast takes
that's really
almost
easy.
zero effort.
Yeah.
See, that's not fucking post. That's now. That's live, motherfuckers.
we
Zero
Don't edit, really.
zero editing. Oh, that was it. Unedited. That's part of our tagline.
Slogan.
We'll get it all out by the end of the episode. No, just making shit can be a slog, especially an emotional slog.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's an emotional slog to make a lot of content all the time.
Yeah.
Be it
It's cannibalism
of your own self.
of just your own experience. Of your emotions and experiences. You have to cannibalize them and turn them into something else.
And usually they're bad ones, and usually people like it, and that is fine. But one thing that really frustrates me is like, especially now, we've spoken about this with cartoonists on Instagram, and also rappers at the moment. Part of it is addressing mental illness and depression and stuff like that, which is really, really good. But then part of it as well, I think, is the audience reacts well to it and people keep doing it and get into this cycle. And I've actually seen a few posts from other cartoonists saying, hey, when I post nihilistic shit, when I post depressing stuff about me being depressed and sad, you guys all fucking love it. You eat it up. And it gets me the most likes and comments and subsequently money. But it also makes me really sad. And it's like a vicious cycle. Like I started doing it because I was feeling sad, but it kind of helped me get through it. But now it's actually my moneymaker, but I don't feel it anymore. But then it glorifies it in a way, glorifies depression and glorifies being like, oh, I can't adult today, and I feel really sad and blue. I mean, if you're using it to escape or using it, no, again, not escape. If you're using it to survive or using it to address these topics and try and move forward, that's great. but to glorify it, and especially as the audience members to then get to not be excited for optimistic content and to kind of push people back into that world because it makes better content.
I've got an example for you.
Go do it because it needs it. I think this needs some illustration. Yeah, in your own time. Yeah.
Okay, so
we've got 45 minutes left. Yeah, go.
Think of Rick and Morty.
Doing it.
Think about it.
Yep.
You got Rick.
Yeah.
You got Morty.
Yeah, you do. Put them together.
That show. Put them together. That show deals with a lot of nihilistic content.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the subplots and a lot of the just overarching plots, they contain a lot of like nothing really matters, Morty. Look at my scientific approach to reality and meaninglessness, and look how terribly depressed and sad everyone is because love is just chemicals in the brain and whatever.
Yep. Basically,
it's not going to be trendy to be nihilistic very soon, if not now already. It's a bit of a fad, to be honest. Just a current... I would say it's a reaction to the fact that our society is just not that comfortable to live in for a lot of the newcomers.
Yep.
Basically, people are going to start wanting an answer to that. They're not going to want to keep on laughing at Rick's edginess and Morty being like crushed by the weight of meaninglessness.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to want an answer, and if Rick and Morty doesn't adjust and change, then it's not going to be a funny, witty, on-point show. It's actually just going to be... what's the term when you just overuse something?
I don't know.
It's just going to be doing the same old thing that worked for it in season 3.
Yeah.
Or season 2 or whatever.
Season 3, I think, was getting to the point when it was just using the same... Like, it was focusing... just rehashing. There you go. Rehashing old material in order to get the same laughs.
Yeah. Rick's not going to be a relevant character always. Unless he figures something out. Because he used to be a happy person.
Yeah.
In season 1, I'm pretty sure, like, it starts off, he's an alcoholic, but he's not crushed by meaninglessness.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, look at all this cool shit that I do because I'm smart.
Yeah.
And then he just, like, he became this cynical realist, if you know what I mean.
I think there was elements of his depression and hopelessness in the first season, but yeah, he allowed himself to enjoy those moments a lot more, and now it's focusing more heavily on the nihilism without because they have Morty, and Morty is the flip side, because Morty I like the bit when he talks to Summer. Basically, he's telling her like, "Hey, none of this matters, and because the original Morty is actually dead in your backyard, as is Rick. This is all meaningless and nothing, and everything is chaos, and you can't control anything. So just come and watch TV with us, and basically enjoy that." And I was like, "That's actually a nice way of looking at it. In a way, that's a simplified version of it, but that's where nihilism has to flip to. I guess it's like a." Maybe it's like tearing everything down before we can rebuild. Well, we have to get rid of these idealistic versions of reality we have in our heads. Things like the American dream or whatever, the Australian dream.
Well, yeah.
And move towards something more tangible, which can be as simple as just find what makes you happy and learn to love that as much as you can, and enjoy the things that are just chemical reactions, quotation marks. But once you understand that, you can actually kind of appreciate how absurdly amazing that is, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a great... Yeah.
You say your thing, because it sounds like...
Oh, it was just a tie-up of that. I just saw a quote, I think it was on Cheerful Nihilism, a good meme pager, she's a mama, so she's a meme mama. Never mind, couldn't think of it. Didn't get there. Yeah, just a thing that it was that quote basically saying that like love is just a chemical reaction in the brain, and then it was a tweet under that saying the likelihood of that actually coming about through evolution, through the chaos of the universe, that we got to the point when a reaction in the brain, a chemical reaction in the brain, makes a person feel that incredible. That's so impossible, but it happened. So that's kind of amazing by itself. Just mathematically, that's incredible that happened.
Yeah.
So let's enjoy that fact rather than being like, it's just a bloody chemical reaction.
Well,
Love's
that's
a lie.
what I'm saying. It's just edgy nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, Rick's doing it to himself. Like, he lives in a way that reinforces his own depressing cynicism.
Yeah.
And he's doing it because it's a cool, trendy thing to do. Not canonically, not within the show. He's doing it because the writers have written him that way.
Yeah.
The writers themselves, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, maybe less so Justin Roiland, more Dan Harmon, loves nihilism, loves being as realistically dark as possible. And like you're saying, you got to tear it down to rebuild it. He has torn it down. He's reduced it to nothing. If he now doesn't provide any answers at all, it's like, well, that was a whole lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go out and actually smell the flowers rather than just fucking fail suicide attempts while drinking alcohol, thinking science is cool.
I think some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, well, Dan Harmon, I think he believes he's being a realist and just trying to dispel illusions. But think about it, like, nihilism is an illusion in itself. So if he really wants to be a realist, he's got to come up with something else.
I think we've touched on it previously in terms of just being with. I think when I originally brought it up, I was talking more politically. People who like to consider themselves realists, and they always tear down I don't know how else to describe them, but the dreamers or the optimists. The optimists versus the realists, and obviously the optimists. If you were just highly optimistic about everything, you wouldn't get anywhere because you would kind of fall blindly into chaos, I think.
There'd be denial that you'd have to be in denial of everything that isn't right.
But being wholly realistic is also a surefire way to stay stuck in one location. You can't move. You can't possibly move forward if you live solely as a realist, I think.
Yeah.
And you can each person can be a different thing, but like it's why. What is it? I can't remember the actual quote, but there's the thing saying like the most important parts of society is like the scientists and the somethings and the artists. And the artists are supposed to be the optimists, basically. And in science, it's really important because you have someone who's an artist who will come up with something just crazy, just something totally absurd, like, what if we did this? And then the scientist goes, all right, well, I guess I'll work it out, see if it's
calculate
possible.
that and see if it works, yeah.
And then they'll make it into reality. The optimist can't do that. They're thinking on to the next thing. It's like sci-fi is a good example because you see old sci-fi and they thought up crazy concepts, and then you can take those concepts into the future, and then inventors can go, oh, fuck. Let's see if that could actually be reality. You need those two. You need those two elements, and at the moment, the nihilists are just they're kind of the zeitgeist of online media at the moment. At least in the younger mainstream. And we need some optimists in there to balance it out, to push us forward. Especially now, we've torn it down, and now we can rebuild.
They need to discover some other philosophers other than Nietzsche and Sartre.
Mm-hmm. Do you think wholesome memes are going to save us all?
Wholesomeness? No, because wholesomeness can sometimes be rather PC, and I think
True.
PC is a type of optimism or idealism that is unreasonable sometimes. Quite often unreasonable.
Oh, that's a great example. Well, that actually really frames PC well for me as well, because I like PC culture as a concept, and in some practices it's great because obviously it's helped a lot of people not be hurt by other people. However, then it needs some realism mixed in there, and again, you just need that balance between everything.
I reckon everyone just needs to read some Camus, some Myth of Sisyphus. They need to realize that they are the arbiters of meaning in their lives, and they can't rely on Rick to shoot his portal gun and then go, I found a world in which everything is happy. Fuck Dan Harmon.
I'm obviously.
I like Rick and Morty, by the way. I'm using it as an example. For fun.
I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty. I prefer, however, actually, I think just while we're on the topic of TV shows, I think I'll actually say that I think BoJack Horseman takes a better look at nihilism. I think because it's so focused on. Everything you thought you knew about reality doesn't really hold up, and you need to decide what makes you happy. Not decide, you need to figure out what makes you happy, and you need to go with that. Like, you can't rely on these made-up worlds of fame and fortune and all this kind of shit. You are the master of your own destiny, the master of your own happiness, and the crushing weight of that is a lot to deal with. But I think that's still a more optimistic look at it than just nothing matters, Morty.
My latest piece is based on a story from The Book of Lies by Aleister Crowley, who is an occultist. Have you ever heard of Aleister Crowley?
The name rings a bell.
There's a song by Black Sabbath called Mr. Crowley.
Yep.
So Aleister Crowley was a guy who he established a religion called Thelema, or like I feel like it's wrong to call it a religion, but it's a I guess a cult if you really want to go there.
I do want to go there.
It's some of its laws are do what thou wilt shall be the whole of law. So like basically laws exist so that you may do what you want.
Okay.
Or like the only law is do what you want, essentially.
Yeah, alright.
But anyway, there's a story in one of the books that he wrote called The Swan of Ecstasy. And something like the annoying rational boy. And my piece is based on that story. It's a little boy riding on a swan. The boy asks, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I saw this one.
And the swan says, enjoy the ride, idiot. And basically the story, like, in fact, you tell me what you think of it first, and I'll tell you what I think of it.
Of the, hang on, let me just...
of the image. What's your interpretation?
First of all, I'm just putting up a time code, because if anyone was listening, the image is up on the screen now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Unedited, baby. I mean, it's edited, but like most podcasts would cut out that bit when we're talking about.
Oh yeah, we don't. What's the term when you remove stuff? Like, don't
cut.
We don't redact things. There you go.
Retract.
Yeah, retract, redact.
Yeah. Redactyl.
Whatever. Let's get back to it. It's called The Parable of the White Swan of Ecstasy and the Little Crazy Boy of Reason. There you go.
First of all, love the image. You want to know my interpretation?
Yeah.
So the boy is reason.
Yeah.
And the swan is ecstasy. I don't know what else to say except for that. That's what is happening. Like, to just enjoy the ride. To like fine. To just that's it's a good summary of what we're talking about. Of just so if you question the ride, then it kind of takes away the magic of it.
Yes. If I can recount many times in my life where I couldn't enjoy what was going on because I was so resistant, and my rationality desired so strongly to understand.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can surrender that rationality, you may actually have a chance of enjoying the ride that you're on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example for myself, but I think I've kind of got one, though I don't know, like, I guess just when I was younger, I don't know if this is weirdly personal or just whatever, I don't know. Just going through changes with romance, basically. When I was younger, I was much more of a hopeless romantic, and then as things moved forward, due to mainly awkwardness, social awkwardness, and rejection, things got torn down again and again, and then I kind of tried to be more realistic in my perception of it, but I think that has also to a degree created this I exist in this kind of weird place where I'm just analyzing everything that's happening, and so I can't lose myself in the moment. I struggle to just enjoy things as they are, romantically, and also just in other situations as well, similar to that, I would say.
Wait, hold on a sec. There's a dog that's bothering me. Get out of it. Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, that's it. That was just my own example.
So I want to say about this image, if through science and through rationalization and logic and all of these things that people consider to be the defining traits of culture at the moment, perhaps some of them have gotten people into a deep hole that they're stuck in. And not only do they reject their emotions that don't seem to be aligned with their logic and rationality. Wait, how did I start saying what I was saying? I went blank.
Sorry,
I think something about them being in a hole. Yeah, their emotions don't align with their rationalization of what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And they reject the idea that they need to figure that out, or like they reject the idea that their emotion could possibly be smarter than their logic.
Yes, okay. Yep, love it. Yes. This plays really well into the last few episodes as well, talking about opening up myself up emotionally and trying to move forward with that. Yeah, you turn yourself off. You turn your emotions off for whatever reason. A lot of people through trauma or being hurt or just again being socially awkward. At least from my own personal experience. And then logic can just end up pushing you into repetition a lot of the time, I think. Emotions can push you to just kind of a path,
act out in weird ways.
Yeah, but that can be the most exciting. It can be the most dangerous, I guess, in terms of like what kind of reaction you're going to get from other people or yourself, or what kind of situations you'll find yourself in. But sometimes being rational and just doing what makes total sense, you'll just live a life of, I don't know, just sitting in expectations, not exceeding them, and not like...
Yeah.
How can I don't know. I think I'll just end it there. That's all I've got. I don't know how else to... I don't know how to elaborate further.
It's certainly the case that that we need to act against our emotions sometimes to in order to save ourselves.
Yeah.
I understand why someone could think to themselves, "Oh, I get emotions are just confusing me. They're leading me to do irrational things, and that offends my perspective on life."
Yeah. There has to be...
This might not be us, though.
No, I
feel like we're pretty in touch with our emotions generally.
Yeah, I think we're relatively in a happy middle ground. I've been on the wrong side, on both of the wrong sides, where I've let emotion just purely decide what I'm doing, and that just leads to just absurd actions that weren't destined to fail. And then other times where I just shut myself off from a lot of things that I want to do, and then I'm just sitting there going, well, I don't even feel anything about my current situation. I'm just like, I'm nothing at the moment.
Yeah, the calculations didn't work out.
Yeah.
They all looked fine, but
there has to be a point when you have to be able to analyze yourself. You can kind of choose then whether to run with it or to kind of control it. Obviously, certain emotions, things like anger and frustration, are usually not good ones to let have total control. Yeah. Passion,
which is interesting, and I think this sort of leads into the conversation about the art show that we went to recently, the performance night.
Yeah.
So Rai performed, but I came along as an audience member. There was a bunch of noise musicians. The second act, though, was entirely about anger. Don't you think?
Third act. No. Third act. The noise act, like the with the.
No. I'm talking about Justin.
Oh, Justin Marshall.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So not entirely about anger, but there was a full-on session of anger.
Yeah.
Where he was breaking the instrument that he was performing with.
Yeah. So he was performing on tuned percussion, I would guess you would call it.
Yeah, something like that.
It was like a small kind of table-like contraption that had, as far as I could tell, it was like different steel, small rods and beams, kind of with sticks and mallets, like percussion mallets, kind of stuck in between these things. So then when he would pluck them or pull them, they would slap back down onto the things. However, it had quite a theatrical element to it, where he started off rather rhythmically. However, as he kept pulling these things out, he got more vigorous and a bit more violent with them.
Yeah, the rhythm, the tempo started increasing, and he was fully pulling them and throwing them over his shoulder.
Yeah. So what was your interpretation, or what was your reaction to it then?
Well, I feel like he was trying to channel frustration.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a lot of frustration at just life as a musician or artist or whatever, and he vented it, or he channeled it, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Okay, well, so there's obviously good places to channel things like frustration and anger.
Oh yeah, but it's so limited though, don't you think?
To doing it like that, to
well, I mean, just like
anger
shouldn't be anywhere in your life except in these tiny little windows.
Yeah, I guess. I think you can use anger as a bit of a fire to push something else. So like social change and stuff like that. Like if people are just genuinely frustrated and angry with the current state of affairs in, be it their country or whatever, their social circles and whatever, they can use that as a kind of a fuel to then push for change. You should never push with violence or whatever, but it has its uses, surely. If you should genuinely be angry about something.
Yeah, but let's say it's actually just something you need to process, like it's a stage of grief or something.
Yeah.
You don't want to act those things out, because generally, like, you can hurt people close to you with what you say, or.
Yeah. I don't really have very much. I don't know. I don't have any answers to this one.
Yeah, me neither, actually.
I don't know if I've felt as much anger as I expected from myself. Like, I thought when I was younger that I was a very angry person. I definitely have. I have frustrations, but I usually can kind of push them into a logical analysis of a situation, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Anger, especially anger at people or anger with people around me, doesn't come very often at all. And if it does, it's more of just like a case of I just remove myself from it, and it's not like a driving force or anything.
Yeah.
Anger
Maybe
with...
I need... Maybe I need more outlets for anger.
Maybe. Just write very cryptically about it, or draw very cryptically about it.
If I was going to do angry art, it wouldn't be like... It wouldn't be so... A lot of my art has very defined lines and identifiable shapes and things. It's not interpretive, really, or abstract. If I was going to be angry and do angry art, it would be very abstract.
I guess probably the angry art that I kind of connect most with would be like, though I don't listen to it much anymore, is like punk music and stuff like that. And so that's a good way of channeling your anger, surely. Also, surely death grips are pretty angry at some things.
Yeah, but I find that funny. Like, I feel I'm in a fun mood when I listen to Death Grips.
Do you think MC Ride is feeling like it's funny or it's happy when he's doing it?
Yeah, sure.
maybe it converts it. Maybe it changes it from anger. Maybe it starts as anger when like the initial reaction to a situation was an angry one, but then once you've actually converted it into art or whatever, then it's something else. It's turned it into creation. I don't know what.
Maybe people get angry when they listen to it, or like when they dance to it. Yeah, maybe you can get angry when you dance. Maybe that's something worth trying. Maybe I should just do some angry shit.
Maybe you should throw yourself into...
I don't know why this is all occurring to me right now, but...
Yeah, maybe you should allow yourself to be frustrated. Like, not it's just violence. You just can't give into violence and stuff like that and let it fuel that kind of thing.
But even like just aggression towards other people can ruin their day, and
for sure.
I'm so aware of that.
Yeah. No, that one, okay, so here, one thing that just, like, I just laugh at people who get outwardly furious with people when they're driving. When you just walk, so I was walking across
that's uncomfortable.
Walking across a crosswalk the other day, and there was this person who pulled out slightly too far, and so they were kind of blocking traffic for a second while they waited for the cars in front to go ahead. And this guy pulled out and kind of angrily swerved around him and leant out of his window and started yelling at him, only for a second, but just yelled at this guy and then drove off really quite quickly. And I was like, how did you get there? How did you let yourself take yourself that seriously? I can't yell at someone or tell somebody off.
Well, if you're almost in a crash, it could be your life that's at stake, or like great pain, great amounts of money.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of attachment going on. I try to avoid a lot of attachment.
Yeah, okay. But this was definitely not a case like that. The guy was stopped. Like, they were both stationary, and then he pulled up in front of him and started yelling. So there was at no point any chance of damage or really even that much inconvenience.
Yeah, that guy just chose the bad outlet.
Yeah.
He was probably mad at all kinds of things, but it came out then.
Well, there you go. So if you are feeling anger like that, you need some sort of but then it is again like taking yourself really seriously. It's like taking your that's where I want to cut myself off. If I'm giving my emotions that much power or that much credibility when I'm feeling anger and frustration and or hatred or whatever, then I'm like, that's awful, that's bad, and it corrupts you. It makes you, it changes your entire perspective of the world quite instantly. This is from my own experience.
Temporary madness is what anger is.
We have zero training in psychology, by the way.
I think I'm quite read in psychology and sort of I think quite a lot about it.
I wouldn't say I'm
so
read
although I haven't studied technically, I don't write myself off as someone who understands psychology.
There has to be something.
I don't write myself off as someone who doesn't understand psychology. Go on.
Yeah, I guess there has to be something to be said about just self-analysis as well.
Yeah,
is very important.
Deeply analyzed psychology of others and myself. Ugh, I just sound wanky as fuck right now.
This whole podcast is a bit of a wank, in a way.
Yes, that is true.
Subscribe, like, comment, give us money.
Hey, hang on a sec. There's a dog that's coming over to me. Can you fuck off?
That's insanely what is happening right now?
Get the fuck out of here, dog. There we go.
Anything we want to touch on before we finish up with this bloody podcast, Jilly and the Jillies? What we at? We got 15 minutes. We got 15 minutes. Here's one thing that. Wait, have I already talked about like people who know you from when you were younger? Did I already talk about that? I felt like I was about to say that, and then we got distracted by something else and went on for fucking 45 minutes. That's alright. So yeah, the topic I was going to bring up before was, because I started saying this, and then we went on to YouTubers, and then it became a whole fucking thing. Jesus.
Yeah, you should definitely stop me if I'm ranting about something that's just not...
No, I'm pretty sure I pushed us into the YouTube thing, and then we went on about...
No, YouTube thing's good.
And we went
on... We didn't end up at the YouTube
thing.
We started talking about some other bullshit.
That's good content, recapping the entire podcast. People who know you... So this is my topic. So people who know you from when you were younger, and they have an image of you in their heads. And especially at this age of like 24, and obviously you go through huge emotional changes and character changes from like late teens upwards into your early 20s and mid 20s.
Yeah.
But
like for example, I hit dogs now, and I'd never used to.
I don't, and I don't condone it. So.
Well, you try living with a dog that needs to get fucking hit.
I can't hear this. I'm hoping it's working.
Oh wait, were you pressing the button and it's not working?
Yeah, are you hearing anything?
Nah.
Alright.
I heard an air horn just then.
Yeah, me too. I think that was part of the radio that's playing in this dog hotel that we're at.
Yeah, true.
Fuck me, good podcast. Good. Fuck, we just derailed completely. Ugh. Let's pull it back together.
Let's talk about YouTube.
No, we talked about YouTube already. People who...
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. Wait, we did. We talked about YouTube. Did we?
Did we?
Alright, you want to talk about the content creators that we love.
No. Okay.
Go.
You wanted to talk about being someone and then wanting to change. And then I was talking about hitting dogs.
So. I've been just pushing to change things about myself, and I've been going through lots of different growths, quotation marks, again, sounding really wank, which is silly that it sounds wank to talk about personal growth, but there you let it go. Going through lots of emotional changes and trying to push towards new elements of my character or just change parts about who I am. And it can be very frustrating when you hang out with people who know you from when you were younger. Part of it's great because it's good being around people who know you because they get all your quotes, get all your references, they know what you like, and you don't have to explain anything, and that's really good. You have a certain sense of comfortability, whatever. However, I've found a lot of people who know me back from when I was younger have an image of me in their head that I just don't feel represents me. And also
nice.
when I'm with people who I've met more recently, when I'm around newer friends, I find it a lot easier to be who I want to be. And I can just like, I find it a lot easier to present myself with confidence and to just state who I am. While with other people, with people who have known me for a long time, I'm usually like giving pretext, saying like, you know me, you know how I'm like, but I'm doing this now. And they're like, whatever, classic you. Like, no, it's not. No, I'm saying things are changing, motherfucker. And it's, I probably do this to other people as well, though. So actually, I definitely do this. In fact, one of the people I'm thinking of in my head, I definitely do it to them as well. So that's no good. I should probably fucking work on that. Your interpretation, Giles. Go.
I have deliberately misrepresented myself on a large scale for a lot of my younger life.
That's a big word. That's a lot of. That's a big sentence.
I'm actually a very sensitive person, emotionally and physically, especially because of migraines these days. But I think that pushed or like encouraged a character of nothing matters and total insensitivity to other people's emotions. Like, I don't know whether I just thought it'd be funny to do that or like some sort of in-joke. Like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I just was the opposite of who I actually see myself to be? So it was always, I guess, funny to me to just be this misrepresentation of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm actually like, I'm feeling the hangover of that. Realizing that like I can't really rise to that character anymore. I don't really even want to.
Yeah.
And I think this podcast is actually part of me wanting to put that character that I was fostering, put it somewhere where it's got its own outlet and I can actually sort of let go of it a bit. Because I still enjoy talking shit, but it's like, I'd prefer to say meaningful things now, and I'd prefer not to be insensitive towards other people's feelings.
Yep.
However, I'd like to do it for a podcast. I think that's funny. Yeah.
Interesting.
Speaking of, I think there's another dog who's just getting far too close to me. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is an old, fat dog. It's really bothering me now. That's right. Big, fat, old dog. It was brown, too.
One thing...
you know how brown dogs are.
I don't want to touch it, man. One thing I've
noticed that brown dogs are more annoying than other dogs?
No, never noticed that. I
Okay.
wouldn't even subscribe to this podcast. I found that people who knew me back in the day, perhaps I was just less confident, or I'm not even sure the word was more timid. I think I felt smaller when I was younger, and I get this feeling from people who know me from that time that they kind of assume that I'm still like that I'm smaller in terms of my character, and I'm less confident and I'm more timid. And so I struggle to be the confident person that I think I actually kind of am, but with around new people. So this is kind of just a reiteration about what I was saying before, with just more specifics. But and that's definitely what this podcast, what doing Instagram cartoons and trying to do vlogs and rapping, fucking whatever. Those are me trying to put the real. I was gonna say the real me. What a load of fucking wank. Christ almighty. I don't know, man. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
No, it's it's almost like how we feel takes a hold of what we're saying and just like it starts pouring out. No, it happens to me all the time.
It's funny how you, I don't know. It's funny how you get so, like, if something sounds cheesy, you just stop yourself mid-track and go, like, that's stupid. But it's like, it's because everyone fucking feels the same. That's why we say it the same. That's why we've said it 1,000 times, because we all feel the same shit.
Cliche is a cliche because it is, like, common and true. And often that feeling of, like, kitschiness, it's because it hits close to home. And when content or, like, when what we're experiencing is close to home, it doesn't feel as comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's just like science.
I've noticed I often see like older musicians kind of allow themselves to be more cliche or to
yeah.
Actually, okay,
cheesy as fuck.
Here's a good example. Saying. I think Jack White has gotten cheesier as he's gotten older, but his last album is full of cheese, but is much better than some of his some of his earlier material is fantastic, obviously, because he was in the fucking White Stripes, goddamn, one of the best goddamn rock bands there's ever been. But
he was the best drummer in the White Stripes.
But I think the cheese works now, and I think cutting yourself off just because you think it's cheesy can be detrimental to the art, and also just when you're talking, when you're trying to explain your emotions, it can be detrimental. And I do it all the fucking time. I've cut myself short from making things because I'm like, this just looks too cheesy or it sounds too cheesy, especially in music. But now I'm kind of embracing more of it, and I just find that sometimes it is a better expression of my emotions or the way I feel.
Yeah,
happens to sound cheesy, and if that's how it is, then fuck it. If that's what comes naturally, sometimes it just comes naturally, and people will respond to honesty, however it sounds. And look at
I was looking through some old Simon and Garfunkel songs, and something that occurred to me was like they are almost a parody of themselves, like of their genre, like they're singing just really sweetly while singing lyrics that are like almost like platitudes, just like and like if they were afraid to be that, then it wouldn't have existed, and I would have been far, like, obviously I wouldn't have been aware of it, but I much prefer that Simon and Garfunkel were actually confident enough to do what they did than if they hadn't have done it at all. And if the formula that allows you to actually create requires you to just give in to this cheesy side of yourself, well, it's better that it exists than it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because in 10 years' time, when you finally are ready to embrace the cheese, you're going to think to yourself, I should have just fucking done it back then.
Yeah. There's something to be said about trying to think outside the box, obviously, and try and push yourself to express yourself in different ways. But there's also, there's absolutely something to be said about just running with whatever comes naturally. And I think people just respond well to honesty. And I think that's at the root of everything we're talking about here is especially in terms of art, in terms of people responding well to art in any form, it's usually just honesty. And I think it can't be a goddamn Coppola podcast episode without Ryan mentioning Kanye, but here we go, mentioning Kanye. People who fucking talk about Kanye like he's just another goddamn pop star. He just writes pop rap and he's just the same as everyone else. Because people do it all the fucking time. People are like, back in my day, we got the Beatles and we had Led Zeppelin. We had real music and because we paid for it. And nowadays you get your Justin Biebers, you get your Gagas, and you get your Kanyes. You cannot fucking put Kanye in the same goddamn category as Justin Bieber or anyone else like Justin Bieber. And not to shit all over Justin Bieber. He's got some good parts, obviously. His face is fantastic. He's a beautiful boy. But there's lots of pop stars out there who just it's like cookie cutter shit. It's just writing what works. Then I guess that is kind of it is cheesy, but nonetheless, I just always believe Kanye. regardless of how batshit insane it is, I think he's honest. So often, I always believe what he says, and even if I strongly disagree with what he's talking about, and often I do, I just respond well to honesty. You can usually tell when somebody's coming from a real place, and that's often enough. That's often enough of a turn on to enjoy a piece of art or enjoy a person's character.
Yeah.
That's why people don't. That's why a lot of people don't like Jimmy Fallon, because they think he seems insincere when he laughs. I don't know if that's so much true. I don't know if he's being insincere, but people get super turned off by it.
It is actually terribly just fake at times. I can't do it. I can't do Jimmy Fallon.
You brought up before we started recording H3H3, and that's your problem with them at the moment.
Yeah, he doesn't feel very genuine at all.
And that's what people go for. That's what people are going to YouTube and podcasts and Instagram for.
That it's being. They thought that being made by the creator itself, the content being dictated by the creator, and all of these other things will keep it unfiltered. Yep. But no, they're like. As someone was pointing out in a podcast I listened to recently, like, people can be doing vlogs, and then they'll just out of nowhere they'll be a mouthpiece for an advertisement. Like, they'll just start speaking, and they're like, you can download this app from here, like blah blah blah. And it's like, fuck, like the more personal the content gets, the more personal like advertising is going to get. And I think there will just genuinely be, and especially with AI, we are going to have a battle between humanity and ad/artificial intelligence, like, just forever. You're gonna have people who can't even honestly express themselves because their beliefs are like artificial, and they're controlled by advertising and marketing, and yeah.
You won't have that problem with this podcast. We are very much unsponsored.
12-year-olds are going to be the last bastion for honesty.
Giles, 2018. I think it's a pretty good quote to leave it on.
Also,
you're saying the children of the future.
They are the future.
It's just a mathematical fact. You can't.
We need to start loosening the laws that allow that keep us from connecting with kids. You know what I'm saying?
No.
No.
We just got onto Spotify. Don't get us kicked off immediately. This has been a podcast, my fellow people.
We didn't find the dog, the Coprolalia dog.
I like this one. This one that's right here. Yeah, that seems good. Let's take this one.
Oh, yeah, the one from earlier that has a bark that... Yep.
Yeah.
What do we call him?
I don't know. What do you want to call him?
Let's come up with it while we're recording, so it's genuine.
Okay, fine.
We'll call him Audible.
Audible. Audible.com. The dog. Our dog should be called Audible.com. Yes, I love it.
No.
That's a good bit. All right.
Yeah, but then we'll actually be an ad for Audible.
Well, maybe we'll get some goddamn fucking money for it. All right, let's think of a name. What? I don't know. What do you want? I got nothing. All
right, think of a word.
Yeah, good.
Have you got that word in your head?
Okay.
I'll think of a word too, and we'll both say our words at the same time.
All right. Hang on. Let me get it. Let me get a word. It's got to be relatively funny. That's how comedy works. I'm really good at thinking on my feet and making up stuff. That's good content and quick, and it happens all the time. No one can deny it.
I'm going to count down from 5, and then we're both going to say...
I've got a word.
Have you got a word?
Yeah. Go on. Count down, baby.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beach.
Ant
beach. So lackluster.
We'll call him... Okay, we'll call him Ant Beach.
Ant Beach.
Or
Sounds-
Beach Ant, or... Yeah, Ant Beach.
Ant Beach. Ant Beach sounds kind of absurd. This is our new dog, Ant Beach. Maybe we'll come up with a nickname for it
Yeah,
as well.
you'll be hearing him...
Whenever
well,
we...
you'll be- Yeah. There's another dog that's hanging around me far too close, though. I just want to get fucking rid of that. Sorry.
like,
Sounds
comment,
like that dog has a
subscribe.
really bad throat cancer or something.
Subscribe if you're on Spotify. Like and comment if you're on YouTube. Donate to Patreon if you want to. Either of our Patreons, they're linked below. Subscribe to us on Instagram.
Please like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook. Absolutely comment if you disagree or if you would really prefer if Giles didn't make light of animal abuse. Comment below your opinions. I know I'm going to comment down there about that.
Actually, yeah, you should
I will.
get the conversation started.
This has been Coprolalia. It's certainly a podcast. Thank you.